As Amy and I continued our journey out of the city, the first rays of dawn began to break over the horizon. We had been driving for hours, and exhaustion weighed heavily on us. It was time to find a place to rest, even if it was just for a few hours. We scoured the deserted roads for a suitable spot and eventually came across an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of a small town. It looked like the perfect place to hunker down, at least temporarily. I maneuvered the truck behind the building, out of sight from the main road, doing my best to ensure we remained hidden. The truck's engine fell silent, and we climbed into the back, huddled in the confined space. Amy and I were weary, our bodies aching from the relentless tension of the past days. But the need for rest was undeniable, and despite the discomfort, we soon drifted into an uneasy sleep. It wasn't long before I was jolted awake by a noise, the sound of shuffling footsteps approaching our truck. My heart raced, and I cautiously peered through the rear window. To my horror, I saw an infected woman, disheveled and frenzied, trying to claw her way into the truck. In that heart-pounding moment, instinct took over. I grabbed the revolver from my holster. I fired a single shot, hitting the infected woman in the leg. She let out a guttural scream and staggered away, retreating into the shadows. As we caught our breath, another figure emerged from the darkness. A man, clearly uninfected, approached the truck. He had seen the confrontation and now had his sights set on us. He brandished a firearm, demanding that we hand over the truck and our supplies. I couldn't help but think that desperation had brought us to this point. Two groups of survivors clashing in a world consumed by chaos. Amy and I refused to be victims. I steadied my hand and aimed the revolver at the would-be thief. With a quick, precise shot, I wounded his arm and he dropped his gun. He collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. In the dim light, his cries of agony filled the air. With the immediate threat neutralized, we sped away in our truck, leaving the injured man behind. But as we glanced in the rearview mirror, our hearts sank at the sight we witnessed. The infected woman, who had earlier been driven off, had returned, and her violent instincts had taken hold. She descended upon the injured man with an animalistic rage, tearing into him with a savagery that was horrifying to witness. Amy and I shared a solemn look, realizing that we had narrowly escaped a perilous situation, but the world around us remained fraught with danger. We couldn't afford to let our guard down, not in a world where the infected and desperate survivors were both threats that could strike at any moment. The road stretched out before us, and as we continued driving, I couldn't help but wonder where we were headed. The city was behind us, and the unknown lay ahead. Amy and I were survivors, forged in the crucible of chaos, and we would face whatever challenges the world had in store.